Marcus Reeves swiped right for the 50th time that evening, thumb moving mechanically across his phone screen. Dating apps had become a mindless ritual, a numbers game where genuine connections seemed about as likely as winning the lottery. At 32, his IT career was flourishing, but his personal life remained stubbornly empty. He nearly dropped his phone when it vibrated with an instant match notification. Lyra, 28, the profile read. Her photo showed a woman with striking violet eyes and platinum blonde hair that seemed to shimmer unnaturally. Her bio was oddly formal, seeking to understand human connection protocols. Enjoy studying celestial phenomena and quantum mechanics. New to this geographic region. Definitely one of those quirky scientist types, Marcus muttered to himself, but sent a message anyway. To his surprise, she responded immediately. Within 20 minutes of rapid-fire messaging, Lyra had suggested meeting at his apartment that very night. Marcus hesitated. This violated every dating safety rule, but something about her directness was refreshing. Besides, what did he have to lose except another night of microwave dinners and debugging code? Apartment 3B, 142 Westridge Avenue, he typed, immediately wondering if he'd lost his mind. An hour later, his doorbell rang. Marcus smoothed his shirt, ran fingers through his dark curls, and opened the door. Lyra stood there, even more striking in person. Her violet eyes seemed to glow slightly in the dim hallway lighting. You match your visual representation, she stated, walking past him into the apartment. That is statistically unusual on your dating applications. Marcus chuckled. Thanks, I think. Can I get you something to drink? Water will suffice. I find your planet's hydration particularly mineral-rich. He paused at the odd phrasing but retrieved a glass of water. When he returned, Lyra was examining his bookshelf with unusual intensity, her head tilted at an almost impossible angle. So, you're new to Seattle? Marcus asked, handing her the water. Lyra took a sip and smiled. I am new to Earth, actually. My arrival was approximately 3 lunar cycles ago. Marcus laughed. That's a unique way of saying you moved here 3 months ago. Where are you from originally? The Nexus system, 4th planet from the binary stars. You would call it HD 98800 in the TW Hydri Association, approximately 150 light-years from here. Marcus's smile faltered. That's taking the astronomy joke pretty far. Lyra set down her glass and looked at him intently. This is not humorous communication. I selected you because your profile indicated intelligence and adaptability. I require assistance during my time on your planet. Okay, look, Marcus began, but froze as Lyra raised her hand. Her skin began to shimmer, the human appearance wavering like heat distortion on summer pavement. Beneath it, her true form emerged, still humanoid, but with iridescent skin that shifted between blue and violet. Her eyes grew larger, entirely purple with no visible pupils, and her hair floated around her head as if suspended in water. I apologize for the deception, she said, her voice now carrying a slight melodic echo. Your dating applications provided an efficient way to locate a compatible human companion. My research vessel experienced a critical malfunction, and I am temporarily stranded here. Marcus backed against the wall, heart pounding. You're actually an alien? I prefer interstellar researcher, Lyra replied, her form shifting back to human appearance. But yes, I am not of Earth origin. That's impossible, Marcus whispered, though the evidence had literally just transformed before his eyes. Statistically improbable, but clearly not impossible, Lyra corrected, gesturing to herself. I assure you I mean no harm. My species values knowledge exchange above all. I simply require shelter and guidance while I repair my communication array. Marcus slid down the wall until he sat on the floor, mind racing. Of all the dating app disasters I've had, this is definitely the most original. Lyra tilted her head. Is this a negative outcome? Your profile indicated desire for someone out of this world. Against all reason, Marcus felt a laugh bubble up from his chest. Well, you've certainly delivered on that. So what happens now? Now, Lyra said, sitting cross-legged on the floor facing him, we establish parameters for cohabitation while I attempt repairs. Unless you prefer to contact your government authorities, who would likely dissect me for scientific advancement. No dissection, Marcus said quickly. I think I need another drink, though. And you have a lot more explaining to do. Lyra smiled, a surprisingly human expression on her extraordinary face. I have many Earth hours available for explanation. And Marcus? Thank you for not screaming. The last human who saw my true form had to be memory adjusted. That's not at all comforting, Marcus replied, wondering exactly what cosmic joke had turned his dating life into a sci-fi adventure, and why he wasn't more terrified than intrigued. You can't just lick things in public, Lyra, Marcus hissed, gently pulling her away from the bakery window display. It had been 2 weeks since his apartment had become the temporary residence of an extraterrestrial visitor, and taking her outside was proving more challenging than he'd anticipated. But taste receptors provide crucial data, Lyra protested, staring longingly at the glass. I've catalogued 78 distinct flavor profiles since arriving on Earth. Sugar-infused wheat products are particularly fascinating. Marcus sighed. It's called a cupcake, and yes, they're amazing. But we buy them, we don't lick the display case. They entered the bakery, and Marcus pretended not to notice when Lyra's eyes briefly flashed purple as she became excited by the array of pastries. His bank account had taken a significant hit these past 2 weeks. Apparently, interstellar researchers had insatiable appetites for Earth cuisine. 2 chocolate cupcakes, please, he told the cashier, who was eyeing Lyra suspiciously as she studied the ceiling fan with unusual intensity. Your rotational cooling devices are remarkably inefficient, Lyra announced loudly. On Nexus, we utilize ambient temperature modulation through her company's new prototype, Marcus interrupted smoothly. My friend here is an engineer. Very passionate about fans. The cashier handed over their cupcakes with a bemused expression, and Marcus quickly guided Lyra outside. Cultural integration requires practice, Lyra said between bites of cupcake, frosting dotting her nose. I find human social protocols unnecessarily complex. Says the woman who can manipulate molecular structure, Marcus muttered. Back at the apartment, Lyra's repair station had expanded across his living room. Strange metallic components glittered on every surface, and occasional bursts of light emanated from devices he couldn't begin to understand. She assured him none of it was dangerous, at least not in this dimensional plane. How's the communication array coming? Marcus asked, watching as Lyra's fingers moved with preternatural speed across what looked like a translucent tablet. Slower than optimal, she admitted. Earth materials are primitive. No offense intended. None taken. We're still figuring out nuclear fusion while you guys are probably teleporting between galaxies. Lyra laughed, a sound like wind chimes that still caught him off guard. Not quite. But our understanding of quantum entanglement does facilitate faster-than-light communication. Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from his friend Alex, bar tonight? Been weeks since we've seen you. New girlfriend keeping you hostage? He glanced at Lyra, who had shifted partially into her true form as she worked, hair floating ethereally above her head. Something like that, he murmured. Your friends are requesting your presence? Lyra asked without looking up. Her hearing was unnervingly acute. Yeah, but it's fine. We have this situation. Lyra turned, her expression serious. Marcus, you've adjusted your standard social pattern significantly to accommodate me. This is affecting your human relationships. It's not every day you're roommates with an alien, he replied with a shrug. This is precisely my concern. Your willingness to assist me shouldn't completely disrupt your life patterns. She paused. Perhaps I could accompany you in my human form. It would provide valuable social research. Marcus imagined Lyra at his local bar, licking beer bottles, discussing interstellar travel, or worse, accidentally revealing her true form after too many tequila shots. I'm not sure that's. I've been studying Earth entertainment media, she interrupted earnestly. I've watched multiple episodes of Friends and have observed appropriate behavioral norms. Marcus couldn't help laughing. TV isn't exactly a perfect guide to human behavior. Nevertheless, I believe I can blend in effectively, Lyra said, her skin shimmering as she fully resumed her human appearance. I promise not to lick anything. Against his better judgment, Marcus texted Alex back, be there at 8. Bringing someone. As Lyra disappeared into the bathroom to prepare her human disguise, Marcus wondered how his life had transformed so completely in just 2 weeks. He'd gone from lonely IT specialist to alien caretaker, and strangest of all, he was actually enjoying it. His phone buzzed again with Alex's reply, finally. Can't wait to meet the woman who abducted you. If only they knew how accurate that joke really was. The bar was crowded, music thumping through speakers as Marcus guided Lyra through the Friday night throng. His friends had claimed their usual corner booth, and he felt a surge of nervous energy. This was either going to go remarkably well or catastrophically wrong. Remember what we discussed, Marcus whispered. You're a physicist from Norway doing research in the States. Keep it simple. Norway. Physics. Simple, Lyra repeated, though her attention seemed fixated on the colorful bottles lining the bar. The light refraction through your ethanol containers is quite beautiful. Alex spotted them first, waving enthusiastically. Next to him sat Talia and Jordan, who both looked up with undisguised curiosity. The mysterious girlfriend emerges. Alex announced as they approached. We were starting to think Marcus made you up. I assure you, I am composed of actual matter, Lyra replied with perfect seriousness. A beat of silence followed before Talia snorted with laughter. I like her already. Introductions were made, drinks were ordered, Marcus quickly intercepted when Lyra attempted to order all available flavor variants for research purposes, and somehow, they settled into conversation. So, Lyra, how did you two meet? Jordan asked, raising an eyebrow. We matched on a digital courtship application, Lyra answered. Marcus's profile indicated compatible attributes for my Earth experience. Dating apps actually work for someone. Who knew? Talia said, clinking glasses with Lyra, who mirrored the gesture with careful precision. The evening progressed more smoothly than Marcus had dared hope. Lyra's formal speech patterns and occasional odd comments were attributed to her Norwegian background, and her extensive knowledge of astrophysics impressed his friends. Only once did Marcus panic, when Lyra became overexcited discussing binary star systems and her hair briefly began to float. He quickly reached over to fix it, earning a knowing smile from Talia, who assumed they were just being affectionate. As they left the bar later, Marcus felt a wave of relief. You did great, he told Lyra. They liked you. Human social bonding is fascinating, she replied, her eyes bright. Your friends create a micro-community with established behavioral patterns. She stopped abruptly, pulling Marcus into a doorway. What's wrong? He asked, alarmed by her sudden change in demeanor. That vehicle has been parked outside your dwelling for 3 consecutive days, Lyra whispered, indicating a black sedan across the street. And the occupants emit communication signals on frequencies not typically used by civilian devices. Marcus felt a chill. You think they're watching us? Government? Possibly. My presence may have triggered detection systems. Your planet's authorities are primitive but not entirely without means to detect anomalous energy signatures. As they watched, two men in dark suits emerged from the sedan, scanning the street methodically. "We should return to your apartment by an alternate route," Lyra said, her voice tense. "If they've identified me, you could be in danger by association." "Me? What would they want with me?" Lyra's eyes met his, suddenly alien even in her human form. On worlds across the galaxy, those who make first contact with extraterrestrial life are often considered contaminated. Some are studied, others are eliminated to contain knowledge. "That's comforting," Marcus muttered as they slipped away through back alleys. At the apartment, Lyra immediately began gathering her equipment. "I need to accelerate my repair timeline," she said, her fingers moving frantically across devices. "My presence is putting you at risk." "Slow down," Marcus said, placing a hand on her arm. "We don't know for sure they're looking for you." Lyra hesitated, then sighed. "Marcus, there's something I haven't fully explained. My research mission isn't just scientific. I'm what you might call a refugee." "A refugee?" "My species is divided into factions. Some believe we should directly intervene in the development of younger species like humans. Others, like me, believe in non-interference." Her form shimmered slightly with emotion. "I was sent here to study, but also to hide. If those are government agents, they might be working with the intervention faction already." Marcus stared at her, realizing how little he truly knew about the being who had crashed into his life 3 weeks ago. "So I'm harboring an alien fugitive who's being hunted by both Earth government agents and other aliens? That's a lot for a Tuesday." Lyra's expression softened. "I'm sorry for bringing this danger to you. I can leave." "No," Marcus interrupted, surprising himself with his vehemence. "No, we'll figure this out together." A soft beep emanated from one of Lyra's devices, drawing her attention. Her face paled as she read the display. "What is it?" Marcus asked. "A signal from Nexus," she whispered. "My time here is running out faster than I thought." "What do you mean, your time is running out?" Marcus asked, watching Lyra frantically adjust the glowing components scattered across his living room floor. "The portal window," she explained, hands moving in precise patterns over a device that resembled a translucent orb. "For interstellar travel, we don't use conventional spacecraft as depicted in your Earth media. We create quantum tunnels between fixed points in spacetime." Marcus nodded as if this made perfect sense. "My extraction point will open in exactly 72 Earth hours," Lyra continued. "If I miss it, the next opportunity won't occur for approximately 53 of your years due to stellar alignments." 53 years? Marcus felt a strange hollowness in his chest. 3 weeks ago, he'd been desperate for any connection. Now, he was facing the imminent departure of someone who had completely transformed his understanding of the universe, and, though he was reluctant to admit it, his heart. "I need to complete these repairs before then," Lyra said, seemingly oblivious to his distress. The signal contained warnings. "The intervention faction has indeed sent agents to Earth. They're closer than I thought." A sharp knock at the door made them both freeze. "Mr. Reeves?" "Federal agents. We'd like to ask you some questions." Marcus and Lyra exchanged alarmed glances. She quickly shifted into her human form while Marcus approached the door cautiously. "Can I see some identification?" he called through the door. A badge pressed against the peephole. "Agent Wilkins, Department of Special Sciences. We're investigating unusual energy readings in this area." "Department of Special Sciences?" Marcus mouthed to Lyra, who shook her head in warning. "I'm a bit busy right now," Marcus replied. "Could you come back tomorrow?" "I'm afraid this is urgent, Mr. Reeves. We have reason to believe you may be harboring a person of interest." Lyra was hastily gathering her most crucial equipment. She gestured toward the fire escape window and held up 5 fingers. Marcus nodded in understanding. "I need to get dressed," he called back. "Give me 5 minutes." "You have 2 minutes, Mr. Reeves, or we'll be forced to enter." Marcus moved quickly, grabbing his backpack and stuffing it with essentials while Lyra secured her alien technology in a shimmer of energy that compressed it into a portable sphere. "They cannot discover this technology," she whispered. "The temporal implications for your species would be severe." The knocking became more insistent. "1 minute, Mr. Reeves." Marcus opened the fire escape window. "Ladies first," he said with a weak smile. Lyra hesitated. "Marcus, I can't ask you to flee with me. These are your government authorities. You could claim ignorance of my true nature." "And say what?" "That I didn't notice my roommate was an alien with floating hair and color-changing skin?" He shook his head. "Besides, I'm pretty invested in this story now. I want to see how it ends." A sound of splintering wood came from the front door. "Your choice has been registered," Lyra said with a quick smile, before slipping out the window. They descended the fire escape just as the agents burst into the apartment. Marcus heard shouts above them as they reached the alley below. "This way," Lyra said, leading him through a maze of side streets. "Where are we going?" Marcus panted, struggling to keep up with her unnaturally quick pace. "To my arrival point. The extraction portal will open in the same location." After nearly an hour of evasive maneuvers, they reached an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Inside, Lyra's human disguise fell away completely, her true form glowing softly in the dimness. "This is it?" Marcus asked, looking around at the dusty, empty space. "The structural integrity of the building is irrelevant. The quantum coordinates are what matter." Lyra placed her compressed equipment on the ground, where it expanded into an intricate arrangement of pulsing light and strange metals. As she worked, Marcus kept watch by the door. His mind raced with questions about what would happen next. In 72 hours, Lyra would have the chance to return home. What did that mean for him? "It's almost ready," Lyra announced. "Once activated, this will alert my extraction team to my precise location." She looked up at Marcus, her alien features somehow vulnerable. "There's something else you should know. The portal that opens, it could accommodate 2. Marcus stared at her, understanding slowly dawning. "Are you saying?" "Yes," Lyra said softly. "You could come with me, if you wished." Before Marcus could respond, the warehouse doors burst open. Agent Wilkins stood there, flanked by 3 others with raised weapons. "Step away from the alien and the device, Mr. Reeves," Wilkins ordered. "This is your only warning." Dawn broke over the warehouse district, pale light filtering through broken windows. Marcus stood beside Lyra, hands raised as Agent Wilkins approached cautiously, weapon trained on them both. "The device on the floor," Wilkins said. "Shut it down. Now." "I cannot," Lyra replied, her true form fully visible, iridescent skin pulsing with light. "The sequence is irreversible." Marcus noticed other agents setting up equipment around the perimeter. "What are they doing?" he whispered to Lyra. "Containment field," she answered softly. "They're attempting to block the portal formation." Wilkins kept his distance, eyes fixed on Lyra with a mixture of fascination and fear. "We've been tracking unusual energy signatures for months. You're not the first visitor we've encountered." "The intervention faction," Lyra said, understanding dawning on her face. "You've been working with them. They've provided technology, information. A fair exchange." Wilkins gestured to her equipment. "Including how to contain your transportation method." The air around them began to shimmer, distorting like heat waves on summer pavement. Lyra's equipment pulsed more rapidly. "Marcus, she whispered urgently. The containment won't hold against a fully formed portal, but it will destabilize it. If we're going to leave, we must be precisely positioned when it opens. Leave? Marcus repeated, reality crashing down around him. You mean? Yes. Decide now. Earth, or the stars? Marcus's mind raced. His apartment, his job, his friends, his entire life was here. But in 3 short weeks, Lyra had shown him that the universe was vaster and more wondrous than he'd ever imagined. What's it like? He asked. Your world. Lyra's eyes softened. Binary suns that paint the sky in perpetual twilight. Cities built in harmony with nature. Knowledge and art spanning millennia. She paused. But it is not Earth. You would be the alien there. Like you've been here, Marcus said, understanding at last how brave she'd been, navigating a strange world alone. Wilkins was shouting into a radio, the containment equipment sparking ominously as Lyra's portal device grew brighter. Time's up, Mr. Reeves, Wilkins called. Step away from the alien. Final warning. Marcus looked at the agents, their weapons, their fear. Then at Lyra, her hand outstretched toward him, possibility incarnate. You know, he said with a sudden smile, my dating profile did say I was looking for adventure. He took her hand. The warehouse exploded with light as the portal burst into existence, a swirling vortex of cosmic energy that shattered the containment field. Agents were thrown backward by the shockwave. Now! Lyra shouted over the roar of collapsing spacetime. Together, they leaped toward the center of the light. Marcus felt weightlessness, then a peculiar stretching sensation, as if his very atoms were being carefully pulled apart and reassembled. He caught a final glimpse of Earth, Agent Wilkins struggling to his feet, the dusty warehouse, sunlight breaking through clouds, before it all compressed to a single point and vanished. What followed was beyond description, a journey through dimensions Marcus hadn't known existed. Then sudden stillness, and solid ground beneath his feet. He opened his eyes to an alien sky where 2 suns hung like golden sentinels. The air felt different, richer somehow, filled with scents he couldn't identify. In the distance, elegant spires rose into the clouds, seeming to defy gravity itself. Welcome to Nexus, Lyra said beside him, her true form radiant in her home atmosphere. It's... Words failed him. It's going to take some getting used to. You have time, she assured him. Approximately 53 Earth years until the next portal alignment. Marcus laughed, the sound strange in this alien air. I guess we technically still matched on that dating app. Just with a slightly longer commute than most relationships. Lyra's expression was puzzled. This is amusing to you? Leaving your world behind? Terrifying, actually, Marcus admitted. But the best stories always begin with a leap of faith, don't they? In the distance, figures were approaching, other beings like Lyra, coming to investigate the portal activation. Soon, Marcus would be the first human they had ever encountered. The first human to set foot on Nexus. The first to see these twin suns rise and set. I believe, Lyra said, taking his hand once more, this is the beginning of what your Earth stories would call a beautiful friendship. Or perhaps something more. As they walked forward together toward the approaching delegation, Marcus couldn't help thinking that of all the dating app disasters in human history, his had turned out rather spectacularly well. Light years away, back on Earth, Agent Wilkins stood in the empty warehouse, staring at the scorch marks on the floor where 2 beings had vanished into the cosmos. He reached for his phone. Sir? We lost them. But we've got readings, coordinates. He paused, looking up at the morning sky. Yes, sir. We know exactly where they went. The hunt across the stars had only just begun.